What's up, guys? My name is Zach, and this week I am driving a 2023 Toyota Corolla Hatchback XSE. Up front is a 2.0 liter inline 4, and down below is a CVT. Now, I am super excited to be filming this video today because this is my second press car here on the channel. Don't worry, I'm not going to number all my press car reviews. But that means that I've spent the last week driving this car around as my daily vehicle, and so I have some extended thoughts. If you're looking for something specific, there are chapter markers down below, so you can skip to the part that you want to see. But before we get on to anything else, I have a website, zackprato.com, where you can buy stickers and other merchandise when it becomes available. You could also submit your own vehicle to be reviewed by me through a quick and easy submission form, and you'd get a video of your car just like this one. And you could read my behind the scenes blog to see what I'm filming before it comes out on the channel. But let's get back to that 2-liter under the hood. Well, it's a dual overhead cam little 4-cylinder that makes about 169 horsepower. In terms of Toyota's legacy, this is pretty on brand with what the company has been known for, going back to the 80s with the dual cam 4-cylinders. I do like it. It's a decently peppy engine. It has enough power to get out of its own way. However, I do want to talk about the transmission, which is a CVT, meaning continuously variable transmission. This is a big downside for me when it comes to the Corolla hatch, because unfortunately for 2023, they took away the 6-speed manual option. I drove a 2020 hatchback in the 6-speed manual a couple of years ago when that was brand new, and I loved that manual transmission. It actually had rev matching technology, which at the time the GT86 did not have, but the Corolla got. I thought that was a fantastic transmission, and so it's really sad to see it taken away. I assume it's because they released the GR Corolla, which only comes in manual transmission, so they wanted to sort of take those buyers that would have bought this car with the manual and move them up to the GR Corolla, but that's just my own theory. The reason I don't like the CVT in this car is because it would be kind of sporty if it weren't for that, especially in eco and normal mode. Sometimes the transmission's a little hesitant. It doesn't quite know what it wants. It doesn't quite know what you want. And there was a time where I was trying to get around a car in traffic, and so I put my foot into it a little bit, and it hesitated for 2, 3, almost 4 seconds before doing anything, which is fine. I wasn't in danger. It didn't ruin my day, but I like the poignantness of more traditional transmissions. Now, when you do put it into sport mode, it does liven up the car quite a bit. It simulates more aggressive gearing in the transmission, so it actually is quite the fun ride when you do put it into sport. But driving it around in eco and normal, it feels pretty slushy. I can move my foot an entire inch, and I don't really get much throttle response. Now, of course, last but not least about the drivetrain is the fact that it is front-wheel drive. However, they do make the GR Corolla, which is all-wheel drive. I hope to film one of those on the channel somewhat soon, but this is just front-wheel. So how does it feel to actually drive the Corolla? Well, like I said, I'm not a big fan of that transmission, but the actual driving experience has been fine otherwise. Visibility has been pretty good. It feels light and nimble. In today's market, you know, cars keep getting heavier and heavier and heavier. So as opposed to some of its competitors, this does feel pretty light and agile. So for a sub $30,000 car, I really don't have any complaints about the drivetrain. So let's talk some real world fuel economy. So I have driven this car for 120.9 miles. Now, I actually was out of town for 3 of the 7 days of which I had this car. I flew down to Florida, so that's why I didn't put as many miles as I normally do on these pressed vehicles. But in that time, I got exactly 24 miles to the gallon on average, which I have to say is pretty decent. Now, I kept it mostly in eco mode. I put it into sport mode maybe 4 or 5 times outside of the filming of this review, and so the car mostly lived its life in eco mode, and it didn't touch the highways. I didn't have any far reviews to go to, and like I said, I was out of town for part of it. So this is all city driving, 24 miles to the gallon, which I find kind of funny, the fact that I was actually driving a Ford Bronco while I was on vacation, and that also got exactly 24 miles to the gallon. Now, that car mostly sat at 45, 50 miles an hour. I'm sure these cars in the same scenario, the Corolla would get better mileage, but I find that a little bit funny. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I get a digital gauge cluster. I really do like this. I think it looks good at night as well. It is a little jumbled. There's kind of a lot going on at some points. However, I don't mind it that much. I do think it's interesting that I always have kilometers an hour down to the bottom right, no matter what. Kind of interesting, and not a lot of cars do that. But I do have some selections I can go through. I can look at the radio, I can look at my miles per gallon, and other little things like that. Nothing mind-blowing, but definitely a nice feature to have. It has nice smooth animations, and overall it looks good. On the steering wheel on the left, we have our selectors for that gauge screen, as well as phone options, volume, and voice commands. And off to the right, I have my cruise control settings. This does have radar cruise, as well as I have my mode and my skip track buttons. The overall look and feel of the steering wheel has been pretty nice. It is wrapped in leather, and I really like that. It feels a little bit more premium than, just hard plastic. It's not a Rolls-Royce steering wheel, but I think it still feels nice for what it is. Off to the left, I get a giant climate control vent. And then down below, we have the gauge dimmer switch and automatic headlights, as well as a bunch of blank switches. Moving on to the door, I just have my power mirrors, power locks, and power windows. Nothing to write home about there. Moving into the center, we do have the giant infotainment system. Now, these sometimes take a little while, so if you'd like to skip this part, you can skip to the time shown on the screen. All right, so let's talk Corolla Infotainment. So obviously, we'll start off here with Apple CarPlay, and it does have wireless Apple CarPlay, which has been really, really nice. It is a touch laggy when you hit skip. It takes about a second or two for the song to actually skip, but that's a wireless CarPlay problem, not a Corolla problem. So obviously we can swipe through here. I like the colors, very, very vivid colors here from the screen. And of course we can check out everything like that. Moving over here to Toyota, this is Toyota's newer system. They've really been kicking it off in 2022 and 2023. And I think it's decently clean. Of course, we can go down here to settings, personal info, Bluetooth devices, general. You can do a Wi-Fi hotspot if you would like. You can come down to vehicle customization. You can do lights, utility, and door control. I said that backwards, but that's okay. Software updates. I can listen to music and do phone, as well as, like I said, car and settings through here. And of course, I do have navigation. Here is the backup camera, and it's okay. It actually has a decent frame rate. It almost looks like it's like 50 frames a second, but the actual quality isn't too amazing. I do like these backup lines. They are helpful, especially this center line, because you can't see it, but I back up this car up against my Mazda 3, so I just line this up with the Mazda logo, and it's perfect every time. However, I will say, I was driving this car in the rain the other night, and as soon as it started raining, the backup camera got covered in rain almost instantly and was pretty useless. So the position of it isn't amazing, but I can't fault them too much for that. Overall, I think the infotainment system is fine. It's nothing too crazy or special, but it definitely functions here in the Corolla. However, it is a little big. The screen is a little big for how small the interior is, but I'm not complaining. This car also is equipped with a JBL speaker system, which has been pretty decent. In terms of a car in this segment, it's fine. You definitely hear the bass, which can't be said about a lot of its competitors, especially the Mazda 3. It's not the best sound system ever produced by mankind, but it definitely is a lot better than the standard stuff. Down below the infotainment, we do have two climate control vents and the hazard switch, and then the climate controls themselves. I do have dual zone climate, which is always very nice to see. And of course, fan speed, where to send it. And I do have eco heat / cool, which will focus on just warming up or cooling down the driver, so it uses less energy and can actually heat up quicker or cool down quicker. I didn't really notice a whole lot of difference when this occurred, but it's nice that you still get that. Then we do have the center console. I get a wireless charger up at the top and my two heated seat options. I've been loving the heated seats, especially here in March. It's still pretty chilly outside, so I've been pleasantly enjoying them, and they heat up really fast. Off to the right of that wireless charger, I do have a USB charger as well. This is USB-C, so it's nice that you have options. And then we have the shifter. So the shifter is pretty traditional, what you'll see in a lot of other Toyota products. This really isn't groundbreaking. However, we do have drive modes and our traction control button up at the top. So like I mentioned with the Drivetrain, we have three different drive modes: Eco, Normal, and Sport. And they are pretty self-explanatory. however, I like the fact that you get these options. Then down below the shifter, we do have cup holders. So we will do a big friggin' bottle test here in the Corolla hatch. And unfortunately, it wants to go in at the front. And although it sits in there, it wobbles around tremendously. And then it doesn't fit in the rear one. So unfortunately, I'm still on the hunt for a press car that will fit my big friggin' bottle. But alas, the Corolla Hatchback XSE is not that car. Off to the left of that, I do have my auto holding brake as well as my power parking brake. And then I do get a center console with another USB-C charger and a 12-volt outlet. Now we got to talk about the seats. They're finished in soft tex, and they are the sport seats for the XSE, and I found them to be pretty enjoyable. They're nothing crazy, but like I said, they heat up pretty fast. They hold me in the car, and that's all I can ask for from this vehicle. But speaking of seats, we do have back seats, so let's go do a back seat review. All right, so we're in the back of the 2023 Toyota Corolla Hatchback XSE, and this is not great. My knees are being smashed into the seat in front of me. Now, it is my driving position. I could be nicer and move up, but that's just the way the cookie crumbles. If I were to have someone in the back seat behind me, they would not have a very pleasurable experience. I do, interestingly, have a cup holder in the door, which is not what I would have used that real estate for, but hey, I'm not Toyota. I do get a center console with 2 more cup holders, so although the back seat occupants are getting their knees smashed, I can have at least 2 water bottles per person. I do also have 2 USB-C chargers. All of the USB chargers in this car, all of the USB ports are USB-C, which is really great to see because it is the more modern version. You know, starting to see traditional USBs in cars, starting to make them look a little dated. So the Corolla definitely does not look or feel dated in that regard. Back seats are not great. I would say very similar to the Mazda 3, sort of has cramped back seats. That's where the Honda Civic is really going to take the prize and run with it. The Honda Civic has way better backseat space than the Corolla or the Mazda 3. Speaking of space, however, let's hop out. We'll take a quick look at the trunk and cargo space, and then we'll talk about the looks. All right, so we're on the back of the Corolla Hatch XSE. Come down here, little button down there, and you pull it up. Now, something that I really dislike about the Corolla Hatch is the trunk. I love hatchbacks because they offer a lot more cargo space. I also think they look better, but I like the extra cargo space. Well, you kind of don't get that in the Corolla Hatch because, as you can see, it's actually completely level with the back. Normally, a lot of trunks sink in and then go back. Well, this is actually up high, and the reason for that, we can come down here. That is our space saver. That is our space saver spare. I had to say that a couple times. And it's not really saving us a whole lot of space. So unfortunate to see for sure. Other than that, we don't really get any amenities back here. We have some tie downs up at the upper left and right. We have a little light over there, no light over there. That's pretty much it. So it was a little bit disappointing to see that flat loading floor. I would have liked it to have gone down a little bit, but at the end of the day, it's still a pretty decent trunk. Now we got to talk about the looks, and this is the biggest redeeming quality of this car to me. When this car was dropped off, and I'm not kidding about this, the guy who was performing the delivery got out of the car, and the first thing I said was, "It's orange." And he said, "Yep." And I said, "It's like really orange." And he said, "Uh-huh." And so at first I actually really disliked the fact that it was orange because I felt like I was going to stick out like a sore thumb in traffic. I was a little embarrassed by it. But then a couple hours went by and the sun went down. And that, funny enough, is where this car shines. I think it looks fantastic at night because it still has its own character. It sticks out. It's really good looking, I think, at night, and that has been my favorite part of driving this car. And I just love the way that the Corolla is styled. I think it has these nice aggressive lines. I like the headlight design and taillight design, and overall I think it is a really handsome car. So that to me has been the best part of this whole experience. But speaking of this whole experience, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think having driven the Toyota Corolla XSE for the last week? Well, I have to say that my experience here has been pretty positive. There have been a couple minor annoyances. Of course, the biggest downside is that CVT. I don't like it. I really don't. Even after a week of driving it, I've never owned a vehicle with a CVT, and this just reiterates that I made the right decision. Even after a week, I can't find myself loving it. But walking out to this car every morning, getting in, seeing my reflection in shop windows as I drive by, that has been really cool and really special. I've nicknamed this car my Tangerine Dream, and I find myself refusing to look away. It's a pretty car. And so, Toyota, in my mind, has always been a very good automobile company. They make appliances, they make tools, they make vehicles.
I found 15 results. The first is automatic appliance parts at North Commons Drive. Would you like to go to that one?
No. You're ruining my speech here, Toyota! The one thing that Toyota is really good at is building cars that are going to be reliable. They're not going to be maintenance nightmares. They're going to work, and they're not going to cause fuss in your life. Well, now pair that with a beautiful paint color, some cartoonish styling, now you have a really good package. If you're looking for a car for your son or daughter, maybe you're just graduating college, you want your first adult vehicle, you want something entry level. It doesn't need all the bells and whistles. It doesn't need air suspension and a supercharged V8, but you want it to be unique. You want it to be yours. Well, the Corolla XSE is one of the best options in that category, and that cannot be denied. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Toyota for loaning me this car for the last week, as well as, of course, all of the men and women over at Drive Shop and the Midwestern Automotive Media Association. I couldn't put this video together without you, and you have my sincerest thank you. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.